Namaskar, Nilesh here in another session of Shraddha and Pradnya. Today's session is in the context of one Bollywood movie, and I just came to know of it today. I wasn't aware that such a movie was being made. And it is in that context. But before I get to that, let me share a wonderful message here that I came across and I posted in social media, and I got some responses. And I'll share those responses with you too, and some context of it. Well, you can look at the picture and read it. Most people don't really want the truth. They just want constant reassurance that what they believe is the truth. And you can see two booths down there. One is comforting lies, a long line there for that consumption. And the other one, unpleasant truths. And practically no one is showing up there. Now, when I posted this, for example, on a Twitter, and I made a comment, I said, be it a Mahabharata happening in 3000 BC or Ramayana more than millions of years ago, and I can add to this, or the entire postmodern or Western Indologist, leftist, communist crowd, claiming without any basis, of course, that this is not even a history, this is not a itihasa, but it's just a fiction. And of course, so these are the extremes. Somebody saying it's a fiction, no evidence whatsoever, okay? And the other person claiming Ramayana happening, say, more than 1 million years ago. You can say that as a right and left, although those designations have no meaning in the Indian Dharma context. But people are familiar with these designations. And the people from this one side claiming millions of years ago, again, based on extremely dogmatic and incorrect, illogical understanding of yuga, okay, using astronomy yuga and using it for a chronological purposes, okay, or people claiming Valmiki Ramayana occurring after or written after Siddhartha Shakyamuni Buddha or Gautam Buddha. And of course, then there are some Indic researchers who claim Devakinandan Krishna happening 11,000 BC or some such date. And they say that Devakinandan Krishna has nothing to do with the Krishna of a Mahabharata. Okay. And then you go and ask them, what's your evidence? No evidence. Or they will pull some stray reference, irrelevant and stray reference from somewhere else, and just try to show it and confuse the people, create vikalpa, confusion and delusion. Now, anytime our existing assumption, existing understanding, right or wrong, is shaken, there is going to be some level of confusion. But that's something for another time. Now, somebody, I can't even read the name, and it's just a handle, so somebody hiding behind the screen, took this poster of mine and sort of retweeted with a comment. And I loved it. You know what he or she, whoever that is, commented. Essentially, that person did a cut paste of my Twitter handle. And remember what is being said here, that most people don't really want the truth. They just want a constant reassurance that what they believe is the truth. And there is this one long line for the comforting lies. Okay, so in that context, this individual is showing my Twitter handle and 44 point whatever 8,000 followers. Now, granted, to this individual, and there were this couple of individuals who liked that comment. One of them I know very well. I think it's our again, I'm not getting the name, but the person who I know him through definitely the social interaction, like social media interactions. He wrote a book with Raju Malhotra ji. The first book, not first necessarily first book, but the Breaking India book. Okay, Neela Kandan ji, or I don't want to say the wrong name. He liked it. Now this person by highlighting 44,8K, 44,000 or 45,000 approximately followers, is saying, look, there is like a long line for you. Well, what this person may not know, or I mean, that's a good humor, and I loved it actually, and I retweeted that. What this person may not be aware is that the kind of things that I'm working on, granted, in the context of Desha Kala Patra, it is the Indian history. That's where I started, or I should say, that's where I found amazing success with the dating of Mahabharata, dating of Ramayana, dating of Veda, and many other things, Sushruta, and it can go on and on. But I am also searching on the Mayan civilizations. I'm also researching the Egyptian pyramid, not so much because there are too many people already there. So I just didn't find enough interesting material that was not explored. But Mayan civilization, and that's very much at my heart, the entire South America and entire now North America, which I did not know how rich the evidence was in North America when I started 30 years ago. But back to this number. So 45,000 may look like a big number, and it is a decent number, and I should feel good about it. Well, do I feel bad about it? No, I don't feel bad about it. But really, I don't look at the numbers. Don't look at these numbers. Do not look at the number of books being sold. I know my publishers tell me they have gone beyond 100,000, 150,000, and so on. And that's good. I want them to be in millions. But I do not count the success or even a failure by numbers. But besides, the tradition that I belong to is, if you have to just describe in the words of the Santa Jnaneshwar, is He Vishwachi Maze Gara, Aishi Mati Jayachi Sthira. Okay, which is to say, when I look at the history, yes, as a Desha Kala Patra, I look at the antiquity of Indian civilization. But once you go beyond, say, 4,000, 5,000 years in the past, it is our civilization. It is to know about the humanity. Okay. And so this is not limited by certain political or nationalistic boundaries. In fact, I say this many times in my lectures that once you go back beyond 4,000 years, they are us. We are us, which is to say, even the genetic research, as it is showing now, that we are all brothers and sisters, and there were multiple migrations out of India, just like there were out of Africa, and of course, back and forth around the world. So we can connect, the India can connect with rest of the world. Of course, like Krunvanto Vishwarya, like from the Vedic point of view, the way Savarkar has explained. Savarkar said, hey, because you consider yourself Muslim, therefore I'm a Hindu, otherwise I'm a Vishwamanush. The reason I'm mentioning this is if you take the population of the world, around say 7 billion, just for a reference purpose, it can be more or less. I would want, and I don't mean just the Twitter, but essentially all the people, 7 billion people, the entire humanity, to become aware of the reality of our civilization, our evolution, our growth, and our common history. So if you consider 7 billion as the number, as the kind of a majority looking at, then 44.8 thousand is like tends to zero. It's practically close to a zero number. So really, I want that number to grow. But I thought that was a good humor that when the person said, the long line, and of course, this individual and some of the people who like that comment, they think 44,000 is a long line. Well, just on an absolute scale, not a bad number. But if you look at, hey, Vishwachimaze Gara Ishi Mati Jayachi Sthira, and in terms of the history of the humanity, then frankly, I want all humanity, 7 billion plus people, to become aware of my research, not just become aware, but actually understand, comprehend, and feel proud about it. Okay, so that's the idea. So thank you to, again, I cannot read the name, Oti Salvu or something like this. So great, thank you for doing that. But let's get to today's subject, part 15 of Shraddha and Pradnya. Rama Setu or Nala Setu. Okay, why is it so named? either the Rama Setu or a Nala Setu, who built it and when. Now, what is the context? The context is a movie that's coming out, Rama Setu. And guess what? I did not know about it that much, how I am aloof from this Bollywood stuff. Of course, once in a while I do watch movies. That's not the point. But today or yesterday, one of the journalists from one of the newspapers of India, one famous newspapers of India, English newspapers of India, a newspaper of India, contacted me and wanted to take my interview in the context of Rama Setu. And I just said, yes, absolutely. And while I was talking to her, I realized that I just said, hey, what's the occasion for this subject again? I mean, I know all the controversies and all the discussions, the court cases, everything that's going on. And she mentioned that there is a movie called Rama Setu that is apparently coming and is going to be released very soon. And so, yeah, we had a great interview. But anyways, so that got me curious, and I checked and I saw there is a movie trailer and it's titled Rama Setu. So the question, Rama Setu or Nala Setu? Even this interviewer from this English newspaper did ask me the same question. I happened to mention that it is a Nala Setu, and so there was some discussion. And I have come across this many times before. Like, is Ram Setu correct or Nala Setu correct? And I thought I will put forward my thoughts backed by evidence, of course. And then, of course, within the spirit of the freedom of thought, leave everyone to still decide what they want to do. Okay, and all they will end up doing is based on their intellect, whether it's a sattva, raja, tama, and so on and so forth, their inclinations, artha jidnyasu, artharthi jnani, where do they fall along that bhakta axis, Rama bhakta axis, we can say, and so on. But my job is to put forward what is known to the best of my ability. So Ram Setu or Nala Setu. Let's look at who built it and how was it named. Now, if we are looking at Ramayana, guess what? As far as the itihasa aspect is concerned, itihasa aspect, history aspect, for practical reasons, it is Valmiki Ramayana and no other. That is not to say that we cannot refer to other Ramayanas and frankly may be successful in identifying many other insights. But if there is a conflict, then Valmiki Ramayana has to triumph over any other Ramayana as far as the itihasa aspect is concerned, the way it happened. So let's look at who built it and how was it named. In fact, we have two itihasa with us that have survived, the Valmiki's Ramayana and Vyasadeva's Mahabharata. And guess what? Both of them provide insights for this naming business. Who built it and how was it named? Let's begin with the Valmiki Ramayana, the Yuddha Kanda. Okay, don't want to go through all the verses, but just I'll highlight few. This is going to Yuddha Kanda, Sarga 22, and there is very detailed description of the building of this bridge from India to Ravana's Lanka, not to confuse with Sri Lanka. Of course, I have not seen the movie yet, and I just saw the 2-minute trailer, and it appears like these folks are stuck into the old existing, but also old dogma of the physical structure between Sri Lanka and India as the Rama Setu. They're calling the movie Rama Setu. There is this archaeologist, I forgot the hero's name, that Kumar guy. He is acting as archaeologist, think of as Indiana Jones, and it looks like he's going to solve the mystery there. The problem is, I mean, the movie is a movie. The problem is they are possibly they have made this movie. We'll figure out how good or how bad. But as a foundational material, as a Desha, Kala, and Patra, see why this is important? The context is important. Did they look at the Valmiki Ramayana references? I bet they did not look at the Valmiki Ramayana references. Did they look at the Mahabharata references? I bet they did not look at the Mahabharata references. Did they look at additional ancient Indian narratives which talk about the location of Lanka, such as many astronomy texts. I bet they did not look at these texts. If they would, so the background research, I have not seen the movie, just saw the 2-minute trailer. The background research appears to be extremely defective. Because if they would have, they would not have considered Sri Lanka and the bridge between as the Rama Setu or Nala Setu. Now, Sri Lanka could have been part of Ravana's empire. That's a totally different subject, okay? But not to confuse with the Ravana's Lanka. Anyways, but back to the bridge and the naming of the bridge, Rama Setu versus Nala Setu. Let me just show you that in Valmiki Ramayana is crystal clear. It refers to it as Vanaranam Hisa Tirna Vahini Nala Setuna. Tire Nivivishe Raja Bahu Mula Phala Udake. So Nala Setu in Valmiki Ramayana, it is called Nala Setu. Now, who built it? Of course, it is Nala. Nala. He comes from, if you just follow these lines here, let's see if I can quickly find the name. Yeah, he is Aurasaputra. What does that mean? Think of this as a disciplic succession of a Vishwakarma. Therefore, Nala is also architect. He's expert in these things. And he offers to Bhagwan Rama that he is capable and he will do it, build it. The Valmiki Ramayana says, as if Sagara told Rama that, hey, in your army there, Vanara army, there is a Nala, who is a great architecture, a descendant of Vishwakarma, and he's capable. And then people ask Nala, why did you not say it? And Nala gives the explanation. Again, I will encourage people to read Valmiki Ramayana. But Valmiki Ramayana calls it Nala Setu and not a Ram Setu. Now, is that like a big deal? No, it's not a big deal, but still as a factual information, it is very important to understand this. When we put Bhagwan Ram is so great that he doesn't need an additional epithet, additional credit of Rama Setu. Okay, Nala Setu is good enough. But it's very important to understand that in Rama's victory over Ravana, so many people played the roles. And that there is a big message from this for us. Like, for example, a great prime minister that we are lucky to have today, say Prime Minister Modi ji. He's doing a lot of things. He has few folks working with him. But it is a duty of each one of us, an Indian, each one of us, a dharmic person around the world, within India, to do our part, just like Nala did his part. Okay, Nala did his part. And therefore, it's important we recognize this. Okay, we recognize the individual contribution. And to that extent, it is very critical, important that we emphasize and offer the credit where it is due, and not just whitewash things by calling it Rama Setu when it is a Nala Setu. And the greats like Bhagwan Valmiki, Maharishi Valmiki, they are being very careful in using these words. So that is one. This is not so much the criticism of the movie itself, because people in ordinary usage also call it Rama Setu. I am simply taking the opportunity to put it in a factual fashion, which is to say we should call it Nala Setu. And there is a reason for it, guys, okay, in the context of Ramayana, because we have to understand every one of us have a role to play into this Indic revolution, Indic renaissance. Let's go to Mahabharata. If you see Mahabharata, also Ramayana Katha is been told multiple times, like Hanuman is giving a brief summary to Bhima. But now another Rishi, is giving it to Yudhishthira, when Yudhishthira is kind of feeling down during their Vanvasa years in Vanaparva. Okay, it also appears in another place. And my point is, with a gap of about 7,000 years, Ramayana happening 14,000 years ago, Mahabharata happening 7,500 years ago, even with that gap of about 7,000 years, still the message has been consistently kept like that. And we should take caution. We should make our best efforts not to let that original information go away. Okay? Through our verbal narration, oratory narrations, our conferences, our books, our textbooks, how our Harikatha and Pravachankar and Kirtankar tell the stories, it's very important that we maintain this to the best of our abilities. So let me show you what Mahabharata Vana Parva has to say about it. Again, it describes, again, if you look at the top, the Nalo Nama Vanaraha. I don't know if I have a highlight for that. Yes. So Shilpi Sammataha. Okay. And he's also coming from the succession of Vishwakarma. And he, under his guidance, the Nala Setu was built, and Mahabharata also calls it Nala Setu. Nalasiti Riti Kyato Yodhyapi Pratito Bhuvi. Rama Sadhya, by the order of Rama. Yes, okay. And therefore, sometimes it is called Rama Setu, fine. But when the greats like Maharishi Valmiki or Maharishi Vyasadeva are being so peculiar, so careful to use the word Nala Setu, we have every reason to preserve that information as a Nala Setu. So that was my main point. Quickly, the last one. When was the Nala Setu built? In that 2-minute trailer of the movie Rama Setu, there was this lady talking on the phone, and he's saying, look, if a road that was built like a couple of years ago gets destroyed, does not leave any evidence behind, to what to speak of a Setu, like historical Setu, Rama Setu, Nala Setu, that was built 7,000 years ago. Now, I don't know what exactly is going to be shown in the movie, but suppose if they kind of give the impression that Ramayana happened 7,000 years ago, then it is factually incorrect, illogical, unscientific claim, unscientific information. Now, granted, in the movie, it may not make a big sense, or it may not be a big deal, but it is a big deal because guess what? Just like most of the people know about Mahabharata or Ramayana based on watching it on a TV program, TV serial. Similarly, a movie like this can make a big impact and just people tend to remember it. Just like we have made a mess of using the astronomy yugas for chronology purposes, and therefore foolishly, incorrectly, unscientifically, illogically, without giving any importance, any consideration to the evidence of Valmiki Ramayana. In our dogmatic attitude, we tend to think Ramayana happened million years ago. Now, people will start thinking Ramayana happened 7,000 years ago, and that is incorrect. I would encourage people to read my books, but not because I have done it. I am not attached to 14,000 years ago as a Ramayana. It is Valmiki Ramayana. That's what I'm attached to. That is where my Shraddha is. And if any one of you who is listening to this has Shraddha in Valmiki Ramayana, then they should take to the study of Valmiki Ramayana. In that context, read my books, The Historic Ram, or in India, 12,209 BCE, the year of Ram Ravan Yuddha, and see for yourself if you agree with this. If you don't agree with it, then you can move on with your life, whatever you want to think, million years, multi-million years, 7,000 years, whatever you want. Or as like the leftist and the postmodernist will tell you, or likes of Sheldon Pollock, that it was written 150 BCE. And why? Just because he says so. And he's at Columbia University, and an Indian just feels slavish in front of a white guy. So why not? Most Indians will accept that. And many do. Many well-educated, at least on a paper, folks will accept what Sheldon Pollock is blabbering, okay, without any evidence. So if you have a Shraddha in Valmiki Ramayana, then it behooves that you take to the study of Valmiki Ramayana. And in that context, if dating is of any interest to you, then take to my books like The Historic Ram or 12,209 BC. But the Valmiki Ramayana evidence is so fascinating, so precise, so accurate that we can actually provide a very short, narrow range for the construction of a Nala Setu. These are 6 references out of 600 plus astronomy descriptions, astronomy related, associated references from Valmiki Ramayana. And guess what? In a decisive fashion, no ifs, no buts, okay? Now, of course, you'll find some people who have a comprehension issues, whose understanding of astronomy is defective. Yeah, they are going to keep on shouting, and they should keep on shouting because that's how people become aware of this research. But these 6 references decisively take you to 13th millennium BCE. Okay, but not the exact year. Now, exact year comes from the remaining 600 plus references. Okay, but quickly, just to make this short, I want to let people know that actually the evidence of Valmiki Ramayana is so precise, so rich, so super rich that we can actually nail down the specific time interval during which the Nala, Vanara Nala, and under his guidance, the Nala Setu was built, which is also known as the Rama Setu. But again, I would say Valmiki ji calls it Nala Setu. Bhagwan Vyasadev calls it Nala Setu. You know, as his students and anyone who has a Shraddha in them should also try to preserve our itihasa, the way it happened, to the best of our abilities by calling it Nala Setu. And it was built during 8th through 18th December 12,209 BCE. This is a reference Julian calendar. Okay, and why we use a Julian calendar or a Gregorian calendar? Because remember, why that is a question. If right now, for any one of our birth dates, excuse me, any one of our birth dates, the year that we use, okay, is a Gregorian calendar. Now, there we don't get hyper and ask like, why am I using the Gregorian calendar? But there is a good reason why we use Gregorian calendar or preferably Julian calendar, because that's a norm, that's a convention. But the point is, either Gregorian or Julian calendar for historical research is because the Indian lunisolar calendar, if you want to truly trace the antiquity, we do need a purely solar calendar that is functional, not only functional, but that is understood by masses. And again, I said it's the history of a humanity, not only within India, of course, within India, still you would have to use this Gregorian/Julian calendar. We need a purely solar calendar in order to establish and state a precise antiquity. Now, this is a technical subject. Some people will get goosebumps, they will understand. Other people will say, I don't understand. Either you have to take that with a Shraddha, or as this series says, go from Shraddha to Pramanya. Understand how the Julian calendar is set up, how the Gregorian calendar is set up, the relationship between the two, and how the relationship of either of these calendar with the India's lunisolar calendar. Okay, combine that with the precession of the Earth's axis. So then you have to do some tapasya, get to Pramanya, get to understand, and you will have a goosebumps when you realize how this beautiful, precise, accurate timing of the building of a Nala Setu comes down to 8th through 18th December 12,209 BC, using the Julian calendar as a reference calendar. Okay, I think that's all I have to say. Quickly after that event, so think of this as a 8 to 18 December 12,209. The bridge was built. They went to Ravana's Lanka. The war took place. And Ravana was killed. Now, remember, see, that's how Valmiki Ramayana evidence tells us. We may celebrate certain things on a different dates, and that's perfectly fine. For example, Rama killing Ravana is also celebrated on a Dashahara day or Dasara or Vijayadashmi day, Ashwin Shukla Dashmi. But what Valmiki Ramayana tells us is that Rama killing Ravana actually occurred on Chaitra Amavasya. So Chaitra full moon, Chaitra Purnima, and 15 days after that. Okay, that's what I call Chaitra Amavasya, to avoid the confusion. Okay, so remember Chaitra Amavasya, when I say Chaitra Amavasya, I mean the day which would occur approximately 15 days after Chaitra full moon, Chaitra Purnima. And so that's the day Ram killed Ravan. And then by Pushpak, he came to Ayodhya with one stop in Kishkinda, where the Vanara Vanara ladies also joined, okay, the Rama's party. Vibhishan and Sugriv and Hanuman and Angad were already there on the Pushpak, and they headed for close to Ayodhya at the ashram of Bharadwaj Rishi. They arrived there on Vaishak Shukla Panchami. That is what Valmiki Ramayana tells us. Then Rama sends Hanuman to meet Bharata, who is staying just outside Ayodhya at Nandigram. So Hanuman actually goes and meets Bharat and says, hey, tomorrow Rama will see you, Rama will meet you on the day of Pushya Nakshatra, a day of Shashti as a Tithi, and that is a Vaishak Shukla Shashti Nakshatra Pushya. Okay, so we get this such a precise, detailed information from Valmiki Ramayana, just like we know even about the nomenclature of a Setu, such as it's a Nala Setu and not truly a Rama Setu. All right, these are the books. If you are on Amazon, or if you would like to get the books from Amazon around the world, okay, the Historic Ram is the book that you are looking for in the context of Ramayana, the other two books in the context of Mahabharata. Okay, and if you are in India, very high quality books and also inexpensive in comparison to what you would pay for these other books I just showed you on Amazon. Exactly same books, same titles, with the exception of one book. The Historic Ram is on Amazon, is titled as 12,209 BCE. Okay, the life is made simple for you. That is the year of Ram Ravan Yuddha. All right, that's all I have to share with you. Please write your comments, subscribe, hit the bell icon, do all the right things. Okay, and if you like this, then share with your friends, family members, watch with your family members, watch these with your friends, and consider reading Valmiki Ramayana, consider reading Vyasa's Mahabharata, consider reading Bhagavad Gita. Namaskar. I will see you in another episode of Shraddha and Pradnya very soon.